Today I'm going to show you how to make vibrant and joyful faux dichroic glass pieces with an easy technique. With a twist, I'll show you how to make your own stencil using paper. So prepare your black clay, your favorite clay stencil, scissors and a piece of paper, and yes, plenty of colorful mica powders. Hi, I'm Michaela from Learn Polymer Clay, and I invite you to make beautiful faux dichroic glass inspired pieces with me. So I prepared a piece of paper and I'm going to fold this piece of paper several times in an accordion style, folding it a little bit unevenly, but you might want to take the time and fold this into equal folds if you want to. And then I've just used my scissors and I cut out part of the folded paper. And in fact, I'm making a stencil, a paper stencil that I'm going to use to create a faux dichroic piece, meaning that I want to have a clay piece in which the base, the black base, is going to be visible in some areas, and this paper stencil will allow me to do this. Now I can texture the polymer clay, and I am using a mandala pattern stencil. I just put the stencil on top of the clay, I pressed it into the clay using my hands, using the roller, and then I flipped the clay, and this is going to be the back. And then I put the paper stencil that we've made on top of the clay, which has uneven cutout areas, but this is fine for me. So I am going to place my scissors and an acrylic block to keep the stencil in place. Then I decided to use a stencil with larger and smaller circles, and I placed it on top of the paper scissors on the paper stencil, and then I placed the scissors and the acrylic block on top, trying to keep this in place while I'm going to apply mica powders. So I decided to apply 4 colors of mica powders. I'm going to apply yellow in the upper part, then I will apply some blue mica powder and then some orange red mica powder, and I'm going to finish with purple mica powder. And I'm using my fingers to apply the mica powders. And then, in order to give the pieces a vibrant, spring, joyful look, I sprinkled some mica powders on top, a little bit of purple in the upper part of the piece, of the clay slab, and some yellow all over the clay piece. Of course, you'll have to use baby wipes to gently clean your stencil, meaning the plastic one. And when you will remove the paper stencil, you will see that you have those areas that were covered by the stencil that are now showing the base, the color of the polymer clay base, which is black polymer clay. But of course you can try out this idea with different colors of clay, why not? Because you have dichroic glass with black background, but you also have with blue. I've seen beautiful dichroic pieces with blue background, so why not? And now I have a very beautiful clay slab, and I just have to decide which cutters I intend to use to make beautiful clay pieces that I could use to make pendants, earrings. So I'm going to use larger and smaller round cutters and I thought this would work well with a pattern with the circles. And because I still have a little bit of clay slab that I can cut out with a cutter, I'm going to use an interesting cutter, like a flower shape. It's not easy to define this shape, but this is a shape that I like very much. And I'm going to poke holes. I'm going to use a triangle cutter for the larger round bead to make an interesting opening for the bead. And I'm going to use smaller round cutters to make tiny openings for the other beads. I used the larger size of a round cutter for one bead, a smaller for the other bead. I wanted to play a little bit with this idea of these openings that will allow me to put jump rings and attach these pieces and make clay jewelry designs. Of course, as always, when using cutters, you'll have to smooth off the edges, and I'm using my fingers to smooth off the edges. You could use your tools, your smoothing tools. And then when you are happy with the look of your pieces, you can put it in the oven for 45 minutes. I bake my pieces on parchment paper because I've made the textured bag in the same time, so I only bake my pieces once. And I normally tend my pieces with an aluminium disposable pan. You could use a piece of paper, but it is important to protect your pieces from direct heat. And then you'll just have to let the clay cool down, and we are ready for the last step of the process, which is applying UV resin. And because I have these pieces with cutout areas, I'm taking the time to slowly apply the resin, spread it out, and then apply more resin. I'm using the tip of my resin bottle to spread the resin on the piece, and then I'm checking to see if the margins are well covered. So I will pour a certain amount of resin. I am going to use the top of my resin bottle and spread the resin on the base, and then if necessary I'm going to squeeze the bottle and apply more resin. Then I'm going to let the resin sit, and I'm going to check again if I need to apply a little bit more resin, especially on the sides of the piece. And also I'm very careful when I'm going around the hole that I poked with the cutters. I'm very careful not to put too much resin and spread it evenly around the hole. When working with resin and UV resin, it is recommended to use gloves to protect your hands, to work in well ventilated areas, and to use rubbing alcohol to clean your tools. So I'm checking to see if I need to put more resin in some areas, and if I'm happy with the look of the pieces, I am going to use the heat gun and I'm going to blow some hot air on top of the pieces to remove any air bubbles. And then I can cure the resin with the UV lamp, and I'm going to cure the pieces for 2 consecutive minutes. I'm using a fast curing UV lamp, so 2 minutes would be enough to cure the pieces. And these are the finished pieces, and I hope that you like the look of these faux dichroic glass inspired pieces, and I hope that you are inspired to create more using polymer clay. I invite you to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching the tutorial, and stay tuned for more inspiration for work with polymer clay.